Good morning to the 48 people online. I'm going to say that one time because I'm actually going to sit here and I won't be looking at the camera. So, good morning to everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. There's a lot of traffic out here. This is my basic apartment, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I'm the princess and the pea in a lot of ways, but not in and what I need. So there's a difference between this and that. So now you see hopefully you can see some of my, um, maybe I'm sitting in the wrong chair. But this is one of my paintings. I use color. I'm an abstract artist. Um, I'm not that one that draws people, places, and things. So color is my thing. So that's one. Um, and that one is called stained glass. And then there's this one. And this one is called Confusion. I call this one Confusion. And I didn't bring out any of my yarn stuff because I also do that as well. And we have 30 minutes, so what I'm going to do is work on Storm this morning. So Storm is what I'm working on this morning as I talk to you guys. And so my head will be down for a little bit. But yes, when I first came down here 9 years ago, and was desperately seeking a job, even though I was still learning how to walk, doing quite a heck of a good job. I'm surprised I didn't damage myself because I didn't use any crutches. I threw my crutches back at my doctor before I got on the train for 3 days to come down here. And wound up at the state fair for a job, which probably was the best thing for me. And I did do some temp work when I was down here. So I did get back into the temping. So I did the temping agency and worked at an office. And yes, when you have Kool-Aid to make and you don't have a pitcher, you use a glass. Okay? I'm not above that. So I don't have an easel, and with the rent going up and my salary not matching it, guess what? We may not have an easel for a minute. So when I got to the state fair, my supervisor, her name was Mary. Hopefully you can hear me over all the traffic noise. Her name was Mary, and is Mary, because Mary's still alive, and she's still kicking. I love Miss Mary. Miss Mary saw me, and for whatever reason, she just knew I was a creative. She knew it, she felt it, and she gave me a lot of allowances as I healed up from the two major surgeries that caused me to learn how to walk again. And so what Miss Mary did, she took my crafts, because I had at that time I was doing crochet only. I hadn't even started to paint. So she took my crafts and she entered them herself. That's how much faith she had that I was a creative. She just saw me as a creative, and she got me. She got me real quick. And I won some ribbons, and that was back in 2010. 2010. Um, and I did win some, and I did a state fair every year until 2013. And in between, I did work as a temp in an office. Whenever I could get an assignment, that's what I did. So between the state fair and then it was government assistance, which I hate. I hate government assistance with a passion because they don't appreciate someone who is willing, who really and truly wants to work. They don't really help you. They help the ones who will sit on their butt and do a $10, $8, $6, and $5 an hour job. But those of us who actually know what money is would love to have our money back, is doing everything we can to get back to normal. They're not really trying to help. They really are not trying to help. I've been across 2 states with this, and I've learned that I couldn't get my disability. I think disability just figured, you know what, this chick here, she'll collect the check, and then she'll she'll make more money than she needs to. We just can't have that. How dare she try to be self-sufficient? So, that was 2010 through 2013, and she handed me my first, that 2010 year. Me and her are just now starting to know each other. I started working in September in the teardown setup, as well as as long as he ain't chasing a dog, I'm fine. Cause I'll be the first one back in the house knocking everything over. Uh, so she handed me 3 looms, and I'll do that for my next video. Right now, I'm showing you my paint. That's what I'm on here doing. I just wanted you to see some painting that I do. And so, and I did get a couple more canvases. I can't wait to get started on fill. But right now, I'm working on Storm, and then I got to work on Free, because Free is going to be the raffle one. So that's the next one I work on. So Storm is just needing some touching up. I just needed to do a second coat on Storm. I started Storm out with a darker blue, and then I looked at it and I said, nope, that ain't gonna work. So then I switched over to this blue, and it's working out fine. I actually like the way this is coming out. Um, and at that time, I still had a lot of healing to do. So Mary had me 3 knit looms, and she said, okay, learn how to figure out how to use this, and then come in here and teach everybody. I looked at Mary and I was like, oh, you want me to do what? Well, me being me, not understanding that I'm a person who's up to a challenge, because that's just the way I function. But Mary did. I went on YouTube. I went on Google. I went on YouTube. And I found direction. And in 3 days, I had 3 stitches for 4 looms. And what I did was, the 4th loom was my practice loom. So every weekend, people came in to the fair, to the home arts department, and they saw me working on this knit loom. It drew a lot of interest. It really worked well. So I would put the stitch out so that you can see actually what the stitch looked like. And then I worked the stitch on the other loom. So you got to see what the stitch looked like. So you didn't have to ask me 50 million questions about what is that, And then I worked on the knit loom. I worked on the other loom, and I actually showed you how to do the stitch. And I answered questions, and people actually, I had a crowd around me at all times, no matter what. I would take a bathroom break, and when I come back, Betty, who I've reconnected with right now, and I'm grateful for that, because Betty's like my sister, my little sister. Oh my gosh, Betty was just, she was my ride or die. She was my very first friend here in the valley. Very first real friend in the valley. Mary was my very first real boss in the valley. And Miss Betty, whatever I needed, Miss Betty was right there. If I didn't even have to blink too much, she was just right there. Good morning, my big sis, my little sister. How you doing? So um so Miss Betty would be right there. So whenever I left the table, she'll take over my table. I'll go. We worked as a team, Miss Betty and I. I'll go to the bathroom. When I come back, Betty would literally round up everybody who came by the table to try to figure out what the heck I was doing. And yay. And while she'll go round up everybody, and they'll come back because they would just everybody was just crazy about finding out, oh, okay, that's what you do. And I had someone say, well, I got those for Christmas, and all it did was make a loop. And I was like, no, it does more than make a loop. You actually have to, if you leave it open on one side, you can make panels. And what you do is you put your panels together, and that's how it goes. And you can make just about anything you want, from shawls to scarves. So that's where I started with demonstrating. So I know how to demonstrate because of Miss Mary. I know how to demonstrate at the same time, talk to people, and yeah, it was tiring as heck because I'm that one um, who people just ain't my thing. So I get drained. So I'll get drained. I'll do that all day for about 5 hours. I earn my money and I'll go home, you know, and then go come back the next weekend and start all over again. And I would do it. I would work. I would use the September into the fair opening day and just work back to back to back to back to back so that it could get set up. And me and Betty and I, we were the ones. And then little Brianna, sorry, not Brittany. I always call her Brittany. It's Brianna. Me and Brianna would would also work. So we did that together and get this place set up. And that was hard work. Moving tables, putting stuff on. Hey, girlfriend, I'm glad your plans are coming together. I'm glad God is working it out. I pray that He works it out for me too, and I know He will. Um, so I would set up the fair, and then I would demonstrate at the fair. So my stuff was in, and I won a few ribbons, and Miss Mary was just so proud of me. I tried what they call tie quilting. So Miss Mary would have a quilt set up. And when you got tired of doing one, and that's how we switched off. So you never did the same thing. So you would come in to the place where the quilt was, and you would tie it up. So it was a tie quilt. So you would tie the centers to make those pretty knots in the center. And I'm not real good at knots, but I did the best I could with that thing. And it would be three of us on that huge quilt that was set up, and we would be in there and we'll demonstrate tying knots on a quilt. So that was my first entryway. And I'm saying this because I'm trying to explain how I got to my purpose. The second time was after I had written my first book. That That was back in 2014. I wrote my first book, Shades of Black and Blue, and it was my story. And my editor, Miss Janine, well now it's I think I'm gonna crucify your last name. I'm so sorry, Janine. McCaukley. McCaukley. Um, she was our publisher at that time, and she had a market set up off of Thunderbird, and she put a note out to all her authors, and she said, "I'm going to be out here at market, and bring your book. Do you want your books? You know, if you need books, I'll order them." And in my case, and in both places, like I said, when you don't have the pitcher for your Kool-Aid, what you do is you get a glass, and that's how you make your Kool-Aid, and you make it one glass at a time. So for me, I didn't have a car back then. This is the evolution. I didn't have a car, so I used a shopping cart. I would put all my stuff in the shopping cart, and whether it was the fair or the market, that's how I got all my stuff to both places. Yes, a very tenacious person, very, very tenacious. So I would fill up that cart and head to market. I looked like a homeless woman coming in, but I didn't care. I needed a way to get my stuff from point A to point B, and that was the way I did it. And so I would sit there at the market, and people would come by, and I would tell them about my book and tell them about my survivor journey. So, and that did well too. Every time I went, if I took a box of 22 books would sell. If it didn't sell at the market, literally, I was walking into people and selling my book just on GP. Don't know the people. Uh, Somehow or another, they'll get to talking to me because I never really did introduce conversation. So they will get to talking to me about their journey through domestic violence. And I was like, you know what? You need some encouragement. Here you go. My book is $12. You can purchase it for me. And that's how I would sell my book. So then the other thing I did, other art that I do is cross stitch. And I just recently sent my niece her graduation. No, it wasn't even her graduation, her sweet 16. I made her a blanket for her graduation. And then for her sweet 16, I did a cross stitch for her, personalized just for her. And everything I do, everything I make, it goes. It really goes. It gets sold fairly quickly. And sadly, I haven't sold I've given a lot of stuff away. Didn't know you weren't supposed to give it away because I never thought of this as something to do with money. That I never thought I had value here on this earth. And now I do. Now I understand that I have value here on this earth. So because I have value here on this earth and money's tight and I already know this job is my last job. God will let me hold on to this job until he's ready to move me. And I think the time is now. That's another reason for me doing what I'm doing at this moment. Because I think the time is now. I think the time is really now for me to get started in selling and moving into the creative that he made me to be. So I'm working on quite a few things. You see my um, Here's one of my paintings right here. This is Confusion, and I gotta paint around the edges of it. This is Stained Glass, okay? And I'm working right now on Storm. So this is Storm. Storm is about done. There's a little bit of sparkle in there, not a whole lot, but it's just enough. And I think it needs another coat, but another coat of the blue. But I love the way the Storm came out. It just comes out well. Uh, I'm gonna do another what I call splatter paint. I call it splatter paint. I'm gonna do another one called I don't know what to call it yet. Oh, Peace. That's what I'm gonna call it. That's the name God told me to give it. It's Peace. Its colors are gonna be purple, white, and gray, and it's gonna be called Peace and Hope. And I've wrapped my head around accepting the fact that I already knew this was gonna be my last job. This is not my destination. This is my journey. At the same time, I just thought that it would be enough. And God is literally shortening the money. But I think He's shortening it. He's making it look short so that I would do what He told me to do. Because it's either I do this or I try to get another job. And here's the thing: if I get a second job, I'll basically kill myself. Because I can no longer work 2 and 3 jobs like I used to. So that's not going to happen. So now is the time I need to build my business. I need to really start launching. So I got to pay rent this week. We'll see if there's anything left. And if there is, I'm going to start working on that application for markets because I need to do that. And then in October, I need to go and get my licenses for sales. Um, and then I need to do the canopy, the banner, the camera. These are the 3 things that I don't have that I really need. So, and eventually, I'll eventually get the easel. The silly rays won't kick in until November, December. It depends on they got to do all that paperwork jazz. So they'll do the review on October 11th. Tell me what they're gonna supposedly pay me, which ain't enough to cover my apartment or my car. And God's blessed me with the car. The car still keeps getting all my bills still keep getting paid in spite of the fact that my money is not long enough to do jack crap. Um, but I know that the car is so that I can, because each time I've moved up. So 2010, when I did the state fair, I was using the shopping cart. 2016, when everything blew up on me, and I thought that was going to be my last job. I still was using my shopping cart to try to get to a market. Now that God has broadened me out and I'm doing markets and I'm doing events and things of that nature, because I speak too, as well as you can tell because I talk most of these videos. Um, I'm gonna need transportation to get from point A to point B. When people ask me to come to their event, I can't say, well, the bus don't go there, so I can't do it. That's money lost for me. That's revenue lost for me. So I do. I need my support. I don't think I'll find my community here. I think my community is going to come from out of state and probably out of country. And this is my last year. We're on countdown. We're on countdown all the way to September 2020. At the latest, November 2020. So, yeah, I'm evolving. I am evolving. Well, we're down to the last 24. We're down to the last 4 minutes 5 minutes before I shut everything down. And then I go get ready for my event. My event is at 9 o'clock this morning down at the Chandler, down in Chandler for the Chandler Domestic Violence Survivors event, Survivors Breakfast event. Because of the operation and because funds are short, I'll see if they'll let me in. I don't have any, and I'm allergic to animals, so I can't go into Petco to get anything. I probably could go to Walmart, but I'm gonna check my bank account and see if maybe God gave me a surprise. I'll check my mail too, see if God gave me a surprise. Because if He gave me a surprise, then I can go ahead and get a few things before I go to the event. But if not, I'll go to the event and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Because I can do stuff tomorrow. I can bring them. I can pick up a whole boatload of, uh, not really a boatload, but I can pick up a few gift cards and send them to them. Put it in the mail and I can send it to them. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, and I'm more than sure they're prepared for that too. So we'll see what happens. And I'll take a blank check with me if I have to write a check, or if I have to give them something. I'll write out a check. And by the time they deposit it, my check will be. I'll make sure to cover that check in the morning. That'll be the first thing I do because my money will be in the bank at midnight. I'm not worried about that. But so this is my purpose. Explain. So now this is part one. My painting. Next time I go live, I'll show you my yarn. I actually still have a couple of blankets. I got a shawl that I'm still working on. I got some threaded shawls that I'm still working on. I've been working on them since 2016. I ain't got back to them yet because it's faster to work with the yarn than it is with the thread. But I'll sit here and I'll work on the thread, and I'll probably work on my blushing red posies. I'll work on my blushing red posies as well. Saturday mornings is not this busy this early in the morning. This is Thursday, so people are still rushing off to work, rushing off to school. Um, so I'll show you some of my yarn stuff that I'm working on. I'm trying to think if I have any. I haven't. Oh, I have a idea in mind for a cross stitch. Cross stitch takes me much longer, and I have to get the canvas for that. So I might pick that canvas up this weekend. I'll have to choose between getting my cross stitch canvas or getting my paint canvas, the black one, because it's another big one. I've got, oh my gosh, the idea I got for that is, ooh, it's gonna be all metal. It's gonna be silver, gold, bronze, and copper. Can't wait to work on that one. So that one's in my head. So I might have to wait 2 weeks to start on that. And then, of course, my second weekends are always back to back to back to back to back to back. That's all it is back to back to back to back to back. So I'm super busy on the second weekend. I think I'm off that I think that second weekend I'm off that Monday. So I'll be able to work on some painting then and resting. That'll be my all day. And then I might do another live then too. Um, I have some time this weekend, so I'll probably do another live video, and that'll be me doing the yarn at that point. But it's been wonderful to see everybody and to talk it to everybody. Good morning, Miss Kimi again. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for hanging with me the whole 30 minutes. I appreciate you, Miss Maddie. I appreciate you too. Um, everybody who showed up and everybody who's going to watch this video later, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully now you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. You all have a wonderful, blessed day. And remember, Jesus loves you more than I do. This is BW4C, Sandra Holly, BW4C, God's Heirloom, Platinum Voice, signing off.